where the blade was truth, where kingdoms burned, and memory walks in armor still. This is Iron and Ash, the standard. Before we sound the charge, before we form the line, before the dust lifts from the earth in unison, we must look to what rises first. Not the soldier, not the sword. The symbol, the standard, the banner, the shape that moves before the body, the myth stitched into fabric, the signal that is both seen and felt, the thing held up when all else is in question. It does not kill, but it commands. It does not speak, but it declares. It does not move armies, but it moves resolve. It defines space. It creates memory. The standard is not the warrior. It is what the warrior serves. It is what they follow when they cannot see, when dust chokes the sky, when chaos blinds. When orders fail, the banner still stands. A flag is not mere cloth. It is belief made visible, a condensed story, a tribe's geometry, a nation's ghost, a signal fire that doesn't burn but still consumes, a prayer written in motion. To carry it was not an honor. It was a threat. The bearer was the first to fall, and the last to run. They were visible. They were marked. They were both shield and shrine. They held not just a post, but a position in myth. To be chosen meant you were already a story. In Rome, the eagle standard was sacred. To lose it was worse than death. Entire legions swore oaths not to the emperor, but to the eagle. When Crassus lost the eagles in Parthia, Rome mourned more for the symbol than the men. For the standard was not just Roman, it was Rome. It carried the Senate. It carried Caesar. In the north, ravens flew above Norse banners. The wind decided what gods saw. If the banner flapped, Odin watched. If it hung still, perhaps he turned away. Harald Hardrada's black banner, land waster, was said to bring defeat to all lands it entered. To see it fly meant war had already begun. To follow it was to embrace fate. Even enemies marked its arrival in silence. During the Crusades, crosses moved across continents. Not just as faith, but as instruction. March this way. Die this way. The red cross of St. George. The white field of purity. The shape became fate. The flag became scripture. And the battlefield became a sermon. The standard bearer was not chosen for strength. They were chosen for certainty. To fall while carrying it was not shame. It was inheritance. Their grip was not for themselves. It was for those behind. They held not the banner, but the direction of belief. And sometimes the weight of prophecy. If the banner dropped, others broke rank to raise it. It didn't just mean rally. It meant remember. It meant reclaim. It meant defiance. In lifting it, they lifted history itself. The past rose with the fabric. In medieval Europe, each house bore its heraldry. Lions, boars, stars. Each shape a signal. Each color a consequence. Standards told stories before language reached the field. They were battle cries rendered in shape and hue. To know a house was to know its flag. To see your banner advance was to believe you were winning. To see it burn was to feel yourself erased. Whole units dissolved not by loss of men, but by loss of meaning. Victory and identity walked in tandem. Where the banner was, belief followed. The word standard itself, it once meant simply a stand, something fixed, something held aloft. But over centuries, it meant more than object. It became a benchmark, an expectation, a value to be held, a position to return to, an axis to orbit. To become the standard was to become the reference, the guide by which others are measured, the line others follow and some defy. To fight beneath a standard was to agree, this is what we believe, this is what we protect, this is what we are. The banner bore truth when men could not. It meant permanence in the face of ruin, and so the word grew. From banner to benchmark, from cloth to code, a technical standard, a moral one, an aesthetic one. What began as a pole in the soil became the axis of civilization. The standard became the structure, seen and unseen, not just to be held, to be believed in. Even in modern war, the flag remains, raised at Iwo Jima, lowered at conquest, folded at funerals. Its meaning not diminished, but transformed. The fabric still carries weight, still shapes silence, still commands breath when raised. We pledge to flags. We drape them on coffins. We burn them. We salute them. We tattoo them. The symbol moves us long after the soldier falls. The cloth becomes relic. The pole becomes monument. The image becomes inheritance. And now, the standard flies over commerce. Logos, brands, corporate crests. They fly above skyscrapers and digital homes. We don't call them standards, but they are. the apple, the swoosh, the golden arches. They are carried not by infantry, but by algorithm and ad. These are modern heraldry, trademarks as totems. The field of battle is now attention. These banners don't lead men into battle. They lead them into markets, into identity, into performance. The war for attention, the march of consumption, the color palette of allegiance, the symbol in your pocket. To meet the standard is now compliance. To set the standard is now branding. But the structure is the same. A shape, a signal, an expectation, a forged image of trust, of alignment, of permission to proceed. Even in tech, standards govern everything. The protocols we code, the files we share, the formats we trust. From USB to Unicode, the flag still flies, unseen but enforced. Every format is a formation. Every logo an encoded oath, a new coat of arms. The forge has gone digital. The forge is not just fire and iron. It is branding. It is memory baked into image. In the eternal war of ideas, the standard is the battlefield's spine, the rallying point of the real and the unreal, the myth that guides markets and monarchs alike, the narrative that moves before the voice, the marker of what endures. Still, in revolutions, new flags rise. In collapse, old flags fall. But the standard remains, in the hand, in the eye, in the chest. It moves through centuries. It echoes through ruins. It whispers even when torn. It waits now, too, not in armories, but in corners of memory, tattered, folded, stored, kept in boxes, hung in halls, passed in ceremony, inscribed in dreams, outlined in old blueprints, etched in the back of minds, still held, still flown, still believed, just beneath the ash.